Now, I'm Eric Knowles, president of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, and this is the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection. And I know every time I come on here, I talk about how excited I am about my guests. And, you know, today is not an exception. I am truly excited about our guest today, someone who has been doing some amazing things in our community. I mean, it's truly an honor to have him here today, as he honors so many in our community each and every day. And none other than the founder, the CEO, the president of Legacy Magazine, MIA Magazine, my good friend Dexter Bridgman. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Eric. Thank you for having me. I'm so pleased and honored to be here.
Well, no, it's an honor to have you here, man. You know, all the work that you've been doing with MIA and Legacy Magazine, and your online, online, and MIA online. And I mean, how many years has it been now?
It's been 18 years. It's been 18.
Wait a minute, excuse me.
Yeah.
18?
Yep. I moved down here in 2004, and I started the first publication I moved down in May 2004, and the first publication came out in November of 2004, and it's been 18 years. Can you believe it?
No,
I don't.
It was just yesterday. I don't. I don't believe it. 18 years, right? You see, time flies when you're having fun.
That's interesting that you say this, because this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I don't.
It's hard work. It's a hustle. It's like
work.
anything else. It's work, but you're enjoying what you're doing.
I love it so much. I would do it for free.
I don't know about that. But let's talk about how did you get into this whole business of publication?
Well, when I say a long story, it's a long story meaning many, many years. But in my younger days, I had an opportunity to meet the legendary Earl Graves.
Okay.
And back when I was living in New York, I was 19 years old. I had an opportunity to tour his office, and I was just so inspired and so impressed by what I saw. I came from humble beginnings, like many of us do, and I've never seen that type of black wealth in my life.
Right.
So I was so inspired and so impressed, and I said, Mr. Graves, one day at the end of the tour, I said, one day I'm going to be a publisher. And he said, Dexter, when a day happens, you call me. And 25 years later, I happened to be, by divine intervention, I guess, Eric, I happened to be invited to his 25-year anniversary celebration. And I was in line getting ready to kiss his ring, and I said, Mr. Graves, I met you 25 years ago. I met you not 25 years ago, but I met you when I was 19, and I had an opportunity to tour your office, and I told you that at that point in time I would be a publisher. He said, well, are you? I said, sure. And so he said, show me what you got. And I went to my inside coat jacket pocket, pulled out my publication, and he was like, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. So that next day, he called me and said that he wants to do an interview with me. And as it happens, I appeared in his 25-year anniversary celebration issue. And that kind of propelled me into a stratosphere in terms of getting a whole lot of publicity and a whole lot of press coverage that you just cannot buy.
Right.
Right. From that, I was living in New York, and the Daily News picked up on it, CNN picked up on it, and I appeared on CNN, I appeared in the Daily News and several of the local publications there, and that propelled my career. And, it all started with someone that was a black leader, someone who was a black business leader. Many people like you have in here, that like your members, that you so welcome on a daily and a monthly basis, that you fight for all of us. You fight for our financial livelihood. So, we certainly appreciate that, and the benefits are certainly shown and demonstrated by the great work that you do at the Chamber.
Well, and I want to thank you for that, but really, that story about Earl Graves and being propelled, it's about being in the right place at the right time. It's about being prepared when the opportunity presents itself.
Yes.
We talk about that all the time. And you know, you come from humble beginnings, but I know that your publication reaches quite a few people, and I believe you are the largest publication of your nature
Yes.
in the United States right
Yes.
now.
If we were a national publication, we'd be the third largest black publication of our kind in the entire country. We'd be behind Essence and Ebony Magazine. But we're local, and we happen to be the largest in the state, the largest certainly in terms of circulation, readership, and distribution. I'm not going to say I'm smarter than the average bear, but I don't make comparisons and what have you. But I was able to be very fortunate and selected my marketing partners very carefully, and struck up a deal with the Miami Herald and the Sun Sentinel, where I pay them to have my publications distributed into their publications as an insert. So it's widely seen, and then we also have a very strong digital presence. I felt that with the changing dynamics in my industry, we don't know. You've heard many times that, what's going to happen with print? I think print is here for a while, but at the same time, we don't know. So I'm just preparing myself to make sure that if anything does happen, I'm ready.
Right. And okay, so we talk about MIA. Which was the first? What came first, chicken or the egg? MIA or Legacy? Let's say.
Well, Legacy came first, but before Legacy, the name of my publication was actually Success South Florida.
Okay, I remember.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
right.
And
exactly.
then when I started the relationship with the Herald and the Sun Sentinel, I said, you know what? It's a new day. It's a new beginning. I want to come up with a new name. That's when I came up with the name Legacy in 2010, 2011.
Okay.
And then, so the name of the company, the corporate name is actually MIA Media Group. So we have Legacy Miami, which is distributed in the Miami Herald, Legacy South Florida, which is distributed inside of the Sun Sentinel and serves two markets in South Florida. It serves Broward and Palm Beach County. Obviously, Legacy Miami services Miami-Dade County.
Right.
MIA magazine is actually my entertainment publication, and what we do is we partner with major black organizations or events that come to South Florida. So Jazz in the Gardens, where we are the official publication of Jazz in the Gardens, we partner with the city of Miami Gardens. The American Black Film Festival, we partner with them, and Jeff Friday and his group, they'll be here in less than a month or so. We partner with him to be the official publication. We partner with the GMCVB and Art Basel and Art of Black and we're the official publication of the Art of Black. And we just signed on with the Orange Blossom Classic to be their official publication. So that's MIA. We are, as I said, we're event-driven based upon what's happening here in South Florida.
Okay. So something you just said that was quite impressive. You said you pay the Miami Herald to be in their publication.
Yes.
Talk about that. I mean, we have a lot of entrepreneurs, and they go about doing their business. They have a business model, but talk about that business model a little bit.
Well, I don't see why this model is not used. Anybody could do it. I don't see why other publications, it's just, this is not like, industry secrets or anything of that nature. I think, whether another publication wants to do it with the Herald or Sun Sentinel. The thing about it is, in my industry, there's, sometimes people kind of stretch the truth about their circulation, about their distribution, about their readership. Well, I can't do that.
Right.
And I wouldn't do that. That's
right.
just, I can't do this. So when I say that my publication is distributed in the Herald, and I pay the Herald or the Sun Sentinel, the thought of, when I say that my readership is 150,000 or 200,000, there's no question. Nobody questions me.
Right.
And I say to them, hey, if you want to call the Herald, here's the person you call to verify that.
Right.
Here's the person you call in circulation with the Sun Sentinel to confirm that. but it is. I feel good about it actually.
Right. It's something to be proud of.
I feel good that hey, I know a lot of people thought that I was a part of the Herald or the Herald owned me or what have you, owned my publication. No.
Well, I know a lot of publications. I know, to your point, the Miami Herald does a lot of different magazines,
Yeah.
so they don't just print the newspaper. They're
Exactly.
in business to make money, and that's one of the
Exactly.
ways that they make money. So, I mean, how did you strike up that deal? I'm just saying. I mean, how do you go, from, okay, I'm going to start a publication, I'm going to print this. Obviously, you got to market it. You got to
Yeah.
put all the things, all the moving parts. But how do you go to a Knight Ridder, Miami Herald, to do that?
Well, you said something earlier when you said you always have to be prepared. And back in 2010, during the worst part of, I'm 61 years old, and those 4 years between 2008 and 2012 was probably the worst years of my life financially because of the economy, the recession.
Right.
And I'm sitting around trying to figure out how and what can I do. You heard the term, you work hard, you work smart. Man, I was doing both of them and still not getting anywhere. It didn't matter. Right. And so I was taking money from Dexter Bridgman,
Peter to pay Paul,
to support MIA Media Group.
Right.
And I like to say that if I was an Italian loan shark, I would have broken from the Bronx. I would have broke my own legs.
right.
So anyway, and one day I got a call from the Miami Herald saying, "Listen, we know that we don't do a very good job in covering the black community, and we'd like to, and we're meeting with several black media entities in South Florida, and we've done our due diligence, and we'd like to talk to you." I said, okay, and they don't even know this. I'm telling these stories for the first time. So I was actually in New York.
Okay.
And I was sick at that point in time, and I was laying in my mother's bed and on the phone, and they were like, "Well, how soon can you meet with us? Can you meet with us tomorrow?" I said, "Yeah," because when opportunity knocks, man, you got to go.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so they said, "Well, can you be here at 10 o'clock?" I said, "I can't be here at 10 o'clock, but you give me any other time, preferably after 12. They said, "Can you be here like 3 or 4? I said, absolutely. Eric, I called around the airlines. The best rate I could get was $800.
They
Guess
noticed.
what? I had to be there.
Right,
I had to be there.
right.
But it was not,
Right.
I'm like, listen, I got to be there. If it's $1,000 or $1 million, I'm going to be there. So so I'm come to meet with them and their executive editor, their publisher, all these executives and what have you, and they tell me what they had in mind and how they'd like to work with me, and what, not necessarily how they like to work with me, but what their vision was.
Right.
And then I'm telling them what I'm doing, what my vision is, and they said, "Well, wow, we like everything we hear from you. Well, I think we'd like to make a decision, and we'd like to make the decision now. We want to work with you." And so they said, "Is there anyone you have to call, or is there a partner or anyone?" I'm like, This is me.
it.
This is me.
Buck stops here.
Buck stops here. So 2000, we made that deal in 2010. We came out with our first issue in 2011, and it's been under the Legacy name, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since.
Right.
It's with some growing pains, as you can probably imagine, and what have you. But man, let me tell you something. The best decision I ever made. And like you said, you just have to, when opportunity knocks, you got to be ready. And one thing also for everybody, you got to, your mama tell you all the time, make sure your underwear is clean because you never know what's going to happen. And when they said that they did their due diligence on me before I even walked in the door,
Right.
had no clue. Had no
Right.
clue, and you just you never know
who's watching.
Who's watching.
Right.
That's why you got to be at your best at all times.
Absolutely.
Well,
obviously you talk about, the fact that you built your business to where you are. Talk about some of the challenges.
Whew. I mean, it's been challenging. I will tell you that from if you look at the Miami Herald, you look at the Sun Sentinel, look at some of the other general market publications, you will see ads in their publications that you don't see in mine.
Right.
And no matter still how hard I knock on the door, it doesn't answer. You know, the door doesn't open. But that's okay, because it will, and it has been. And it's a slow grind, but anything worth your effort, it's going to happen. It's going to happen if you put in the effort. And it's been a slow grind with some of these entities, but it's happening, and the growth of my publication shows that. I will tell you that it sometimes it's not very easy, and it's sometimes very complicated in terms of just trying to figure out why the answers sometimes that you get but I never want to consider it in terms of like, well, it's because I'm a minority, it's because I'm black, or this and that and the other. I like to think that because they're not educated and informed.
Right.
So when I talk to them, I like to be able to educate and inform them. Hey, the reason why you've never advertised with us, because probably no one's ever approached you about it, number one. Now I'm approaching you about it, and I'm putting it out there. I'm telling you what our demographics are. Why wouldn't you?
Right.
And you know what? Eventually they come around.
Yeah. So Legacy, MIA, and as you said, in the last couple of years, you've gone digital.
Yes.
And I know you're online. You want to talk about that a little bit before our time in?
Yeah, that's very exciting to me. It's the whole digital component with that. Again, that's because you have to prepare for the future, and the future is definitely digital. The future is definitely video, like a show like this. So what we decided to do was go all in. Create digital content. We create a digital newsletter that we send out 3 times per week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Over 90,000 people, subscribers. Now we have shows that we do on Facebook. We do that every day. We have a total of 6 shows covering everything from Mondays, where we do the business of black business. Tuesday we do My Money, Your Money, which is about black people and their finances, from generational wealth management, personal finances. Wednesday we have a show called Soul, which is about, like I say, intellectual entertainment with culture and art. Thursdays we have, which is really a public affairs show, Lunch with Legacy Leaders, and then Thursday evening we have a show with Chef Irie called The Flavor of South Florida, where we go around to black-owned restaurants in the South Florida community, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, and we talk about exposing their restaurant, their cuisine to our readers. And then our newest show, which just started in April, called Black Health, where we have Dr. Michelle Kerwin, who's a pretty renowned local physician here, and she hosts a show, and we talk about health issues that impact the black community.
Man, I tell you, this has been the quickest 20 minutes that I've ever done. I mean,
it's over with already?
It's over with already. It's just so much information. If someone wants to learn more about MIA or Legacy, how can they get in touch?
Well, they can contact me at 305-412-9600, extension 700. And they can also reach me personally on my email address is dab@miamediagrp.com. And also they can go to our website at miamediagrp.com or group.com.
Wow. This has been amazing. And I tell you, if you want to know more about the Miami-Dade Chamber, you can go to www.m-dcc.org, or you can call the Chamber at 305-751-8648. This has been the Miami-Dade Chamber's Member Connection, and you've been here with Dexter Bridgman and Legacy and MIA Magazine. Hi, I'm Eric Knowles, and this is our Member Connection, and I'm so excited to be here with you again today as we have another amazing guest. this thing that we do, it's all about our membership. And today I have the privilege of having one of our longtime members, Mr. Bill Warren. Bill.
Good morning, good morning.
Man, it is so good to see you. So good to have you in the studio.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get right down to it. Design, resource.
Benefits Design Resources.
Benefits Design Resources. I know I was going to mess it
That's
up.
okay, that's good. It's 3 words, but
Yeah.
BDR.
BDR, Benefits Design Resources.
Exactly.
Yeah, so let's let the folks know what BDR is all about. First of all, let's not even go there.
Okay.
Let's talk about Mr. Bill Warren.
Okay, okay.
You know, you've been a member of the chamber for quite a while.
Since 2005,
Wow.
to be exact.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the first things I did when I started my business was join your chamber.
Right.
So I know exactly when I became a member. It's the year I started my business.
Okay, okay. And at that time, I may have been the chairman of the board at that time. At least I was on the board.
You were on the board.
Yeah.
Definitely on the board. Yeah.
And so what propelled you, like you said, you started your business in 2005, 2004, 2005, but you thought it was important that you join the Miami-Dade Chamber, and I'm sure other chambers, because the one thing that I say, it's not just being a member of our chamber, but being member of other chambers as well.
Exactly. You know, when you're starting, well, to give you a little history, I had been in corporate America for 20 years.
Right.
Before I ventured out on my own. I had worked for several large insurance companies in insurance and employee benefits, but for the company, I worked for Travelers, Florida Blue, formerly Blue Cross Blue Shield of Florida, United Healthcare. But, you know, corporate America, love it, but I had always had this desire, this pulling to start my own business.
Right.
And I just decided, and I decided really the year before, because you never know when's the right time to do something. You always
Right.
want to say, is this the right time to do it? But my dad always had a saying that if you wait for the right time to do something, you will never do anything.
Right,
So you
right.
got to just step out there. And I stepped out there on faith in 2005 from my corporate position to start my own business. And of course, you know, doing a business plan and, you know, tracking and making some plans on where you want your business to go and how you're going to drive business to your new business into your organization. You know, one of the first things that I did was join chambers.
Right.
You know, I wanted to meet other business people. And the best way to do that is not necessarily knocking on doors, but you can get more bang for your buck, get more
Right.
involved with more people by
Right.
joining chambers.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, and I knew about the chamber. And matter of fact, I had gone to some events when I was in corporate America representing my company. But once I started my business, this was one of the first chambers that I joined. Absolutely.
Right. And you know, that's interesting to your point of having the foresight, the fact that you were in corporate America, and you know, most corporations, they, for lack of a better word, they are doing, as I would say, being a good corporate citizen, and so they, you know, they are out in the community and being engaged in chambers, et cetera. But the one thing, you had the foresight to understand that you as a business person, in order to grow your business, you had to be out there in the community. And chambers are definitely one way of connecting beyond, as you said, not just cold knocking on doors or picking up that phone. I actually, I don't know if you know this, I actually sold insurance while I was in college.
Okay.
I worked for Metropolitan Life Insurance
Okay.
Company.
Okay.
And you know, you sit in there and you pick up the phone and make those cold
Dollar for dollars, right? Dollar for
making
dollars.
those cold calls
Yeah.
all day long. And if there was ever the term of an entrepreneurship and having to hunt, you have to get out there and hunt every day. So what you know, like you said, you were in corporate America, working for corporations. What brought you towards the insurance field?
Well, I've been in insurance all my life since starting a professional adult career. What happened? I went to Virginia State University, HBCU, in Petersburg, Virginia, and you know, they have the placement office there that helps you find jobs, help seniors get appointments, and corporations would come in and you would go out and make an appointment with the corporations that was on the list of companies coming in.
Right.
And one of my advisors said, well, what you may want to do is interview with some companies that you may not be too interested in.
Right.
To prepare yourself so that when the company that you want to interview with, you'll be more prepared. So one of the companies, Travelers, came aboard as a company doing interviews. I wasn't too interested, but I said, let me interview with this company, Travelers Insurance Company. Because one thing I knew I wanted to be in commercial sales. I wanted to sell business to business. I knew that. So Travelers came in, I interviewed with them, honing my skills on interviewing,
Right.
and interviewed with other companies. But to my surprise, Travelers was very interested in me.
Right.
Very interested in me. And I'm like, insurance? I mean, I'm not so sure. 'Cause I thought insurance wasn't going to fulfill what my career goal was
Right.
to be in commercial sales. But they spoke to me about this department called Group, Employee Benefits,
Okay.
where you sell to businesses for their employees' insurance. So it kind of interested me.
Piqued your
Yeah,
interest.
it kind of piqued my interest. So they flew me to the home office.
Wow.
Did some interviews.
And here you are,
and-
21, 22 years old, getting flown. So
Right.
that kind of excited you, I'm sure, a
Excited
little
me,
bit.
they treated me royally when I got there. And I'll never forget the woman who interviewed me. Her name was Cynthia Johnson.
Wow.
She was a nice lady, and she followed me. And then once I got the job, what they did back then, they recruited 13 people, all college students from all over the country.
Okay.
Brought us into the corporate office and trained us in insurance from the bottom up.
Right.
I mean, we were there for like 8 months behind
Wow.
the desk training, and you had to take the job willing to relocate to anywhere in the continental U.S.
Okay.
I'm 21, I'm open, I'm going.
Right.
But at the time, I really wanted to go to Washington, D.C.,
Right.
New York, Philadelphia. And when after the 8 months, they said, we're going to send you to Miami.
Oh, wow. So that's how you ended up in Miami.
That's how I ended up in Miami.
Oh, wow.
And I can tell you, the first 2 years I was here, this was back in the 80s.
Right.
The first couple of years I was here, every opportunity that I had, they said, you have any comments? Yes, I want to transfer. Yes, I want to leave. After about 3 years, that message began to taper, and I'm like, I'm kind of liking it here.
Right.
Now, man, wild horses are going to get me away. I mean, I love this town. It takes a
Wow,
while
that's
for it to grow on you,
interesting.
but, I had some opportunities to leave over the years, but I love Miami.
Right.
And this is where my network is. This
Right.
is where
This is where you built your business. So, like you said, you do a lot of corporate sales, benefits, et cetera. Obviously, we are a business organization.
Right.
Can you talk about the importance of insurance for your business, for your employees, and in the different areas that you cover?
Sure. Employee benefits are really vital for most businesses to have a plan, because employees go to work for a company and they have an expectation that that employer is going to offer them some kind of insurance. It's a way to attract and retain good people, because if you're not offering it, because insurance, if you try to buy it on the open market, it's very expensive.
Right.
It can cost for a family, it can cost upward of $3,000 a month if you try to buy it out on the market yourself. But
Right.
that's why many people expect to get an insurance plan from their employers. And I work with small to medium-sized businesses to implement plans to try to make them as affordable as possible. Because I used to work for many of these insurance companies that I represent now, I used to work for them. So that's kind of an added advantage that I bring to the table, that I know internally these organizations that I'm trying to do employee benefits insurance. But it is vital, because most people probably, even when they are doing an interview or looking to change jobs, other than salary, probably benefits and vacation, and now their option to work at home. I understand that's on the list that people are looking for, to work hybrid. But employee benefits is just so vital for companies to have. And I understand that it is a major business expense for organizations. Right. But on the flip side of that, what is the cost of turnover if you have good people who are leaving to go to work for someone that's offering them benefits.
Right.
So I work with companies to try to find the most affordable balance between benefits and cost.
Okay.
You know, find an equilibrium between what you can afford and the best possible benefits you can get for the money that you are spending. Yeah, I will work with many businesses. You know, some of your chamber members,
Right.
working with me. So that's always good.
So talk about that a little bit. As you say, you do work with some of members of the chamber, and I know when you first started your business, venturing out on your own, you made it a very important part of your way of doing business is being in a chamber. So how does that work for you?
Well, you see, the thing about my business is when it comes to like web marketing or online marketing and things like that, where you're trying to pretty much reach a consumer, you do those Facebook ads or the Instagram ads, and you are reaching the masses.
Right.
If you are doing business to consumers, because
Right.
you got a lot of people. But me, the people I need to meet they are the decision makers. I need to meet the treasurer, the controller, the human resource manager.
Right.
Those are the people I need to reach. It's a very niche market
Right.
that I need to target, and you can't reach those people on the phone, because you know what? They got people to stop you.
Right,
Because
right.
I know as a business,
gatekeepers.
they got because myself, I know how many calls I get every day.
Right.
And to try to cold call on, occasionally yes, you may get lucky.
Right.
But I need an introduction. I
Right.
need to be at a chamber meeting, at a networking meeting with the chamber,
Right.
and someone goes, that's so and so. He's the
Right.
president, or that's the human resource manager.
Right.
And then I'm like, ask Beverly or Miss Paris or somebody on your team, give me an introduction.
Right.
And then they can introduce me to that person, or ask you. You've given me some introductions
Absolutely.
as well. So
Absolutely.
that's how I got to reach my target market. I do some Facebook advertising, and I'm going to be doing more because I'm taking a course in it right now. But I need to reach decision makers, and those people, like you said, they got gatekeepers, and it's hard to reach them unless I got someone who's going to give me an introduction.
Right.
And then I'm in.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Social media. How has social media impacted your business? I mean, I guess Facebook's been around for several years now, Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously, again, we talked about, I know when I was in insurance, it was you were in the office, you picked up the phone, and that pretty much was it. How has social media impacted your business?
To be perfectly honest, I can't say it has a lot.
Okay.
I do try to post stuff out, pictures, events out there when I am in a business situation to help bring attention to my business.
Right.
I can't say that it has really driven a lot of business my way, but you never know. I mean, I'm taking a course right now that's sponsored by District 5, Elaine Higgins district, who she offered the positive option for 40 spots in this digital marketing class.
Okay.
And to anybody in her district. So
Okay.
I signed up for one of those 40 spots, and it's called BizHack. You may have heard of it.
Yes, I have.
Oh yeah, because your name pops up all the time on the screen. I see
Right.
the chamber
Yeah,
name
yeah.
all the time on.
We're pretty much engaged with pretty much everything that the county is doing when
Yeah,
it comes
yeah.
to helping businesses.
Yeah, I am taking that course. It's been 4 weeks. It's 2 days a week. And another one of your chamber members are in the class as well.
Okay.
Of your chamber members. So I'm trying to learn some things from that. You never can stop learning.
Right.
And trying to expand. So he's given us some ideas that I'm going to try in the area of digital marketing.
Okay. Well, obviously, here we are in 2022, and the last couple of years have been very challenging for business men and women across the board with the pandemic. So how has that affected you, and did you have to pivot? Was there some different way of doing business, challenges that you have met? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, fortunately for me, people need their insurance.
Right.
during the pandemic more than anything else. I mean,
Okay.
I know businesses that said, I got to keep my insurance because there's so much uncertainty out there right now.
Right.
So I guess the biggest thing was that some businesses did have to cut back on their employees. So, you know, as the company dwindled down in size, that has some financial impact on me. So I did see some of that, but for the most part, it didn't affect me to a huge extent. I was able to maintain many of my businesses, but probably I didn't attract, it wasn't an opportunity to attract a lot of businesses because people was running in different directions, and if they didn't have a benefit plan at the time, they weren't going to go through the extra expense of implementing one.
Right.
But I had to work closely with my existing customers to you know, keep them happy and provide the services that they need. I did a lot more of everybody, I guess, pivoted to more Zoom.
Right.
You know, I like to give employee meetings when I get a client or at the renewal time, where we sit in front of the employees to make sure they understand their insurance moving forward, answer all their questions, et cetera. So, you know, that was unheard of. We did not do any employee face-to-face meeting, but we did do a lot of Zoom meetings.
Right.
And what I've learned is that's probably as or more effective than face-to-face meetings.
Right.
Because sometimes people were busy, they didn't have time to come to the meeting. But with these Zoom meetings, people were busy. People were in their car, or you know, at home or wherever they were,
Right.
and they just turned on the Zoom. And I do have customers that have employees in other states, and that worked out a lot better for those employees. So moving forward, we'll probably be doing a lot more of these employee meetings via Zoom.
Okay.
Because we're finding out that they are as effective, I think, as being face-to-face.
Yeah, and I'm sure it saved you some time. You're not running from South Dade to Palm Beach or
Beach,
wherever.
yeah.
And I'm sure you do business in all three counties.
I do business in all three counties, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so what does the future look like in terms of insurance? I know, you know, you see the commercials out there, Aflac. You know, you see the Aflac, and you know that's like supplemental insurance.
Yeah.
Can you talk about it a little bit before we wrap up?
Yeah, you know, those policies are getting more and more popular. You know, those are the employer normally does not contribute towards those. It's an optional benefit for people, and you know, it's viable. A lot of people like it. I had a customer who she had the policies for hospitalization, a supplemental policy for hospitalization, and for I think it was another one for if she had a stroke or a heart attack, and she was going to drop it. And one of my partners who I worked with had a one-on-one with her and said, you know, you sure you want to do this? You may want to keep it. But I tell people, I sell something I hope you never need. I'm the only person that sells something I hope you never need.
Right.
But when you need it, it's priceless. You know what? 6 months later, she had a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
And was in the hospital. That policy paid her so much money. Because she went into intensive care, so like double. But, you know, she was like kissing the ring. So
Right.
I tell people, you know, you can never predict the future. People say, oh, I'm healthy, I don't need it. Oh, yeah, that was yesterday. But you can't predict what's going to happen tomorrow.
That's
but
a
I've
good
had
point.
more than one situation where people, you know, nah, I don't need this. I don't think I'm going to buy it. Nah. And then they keep it and something come up and they can't thank me enough.
Right.
And that's really gratifying to me in those situations. I hate to see you, I don't want to see you sick, but like this friend of mine, she's a friend and a customer.
Right.
But she was really, really thankful that she did not drop that insurance.
Well, you know, that is one good way, well, the fact that, you know, she ended up with a heart attack is not a good story,
Right.
but the fact that providing the resources and what you do, it was a benefit and it helped her out.
It
So,
relieved a lot of tension, a lot of stress.
so if someone wants to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Well, my phone number is 305-604-8035, and my email address is bwarren@bdrinsurance, that's with an S.com. And I would welcome anybody to please visit my website. It's just BDR, Benefits Design Resources, Insurances.com.
Okay.
You will learn all about me, all about my services, And someone think, and I have some testimonials on there from quite a few customers. So you will find out what people think about doing business with me.
All right, Bill. Well, thank you so much. You know, we could sit here and talk for another good half hour, but this has been the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce's Member Connection. If you want to learn more about the Chamber, you can go to www.m-dcc.org, or you can call the Chamber at 305-751-8648. Thanks for joining us. I'm back, and this is the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection, and as I say, I'm always excited about our guests, you know, members of the Chamber, but the conversations that we have, and I have Mr. Junior Penn with FTO Mosquito Control and Pests, and, you know, we live in South Florida, and you need to know this guy. If you don't know Junior, you're going to get to know him today. You know, the rainy season is about to begin, and this is the guy to help you live in your backyard and in your property and not be eaten up by it. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
No, it's a pleasure to have you, man. You know, you and I talk. You know, I'm an outdoor guy. I'm into gardening. I'm into this whole thing of nature. But reading your bio, you talk about the fact that you basically you're following behind your father's footsteps.
Absolutely. About 12 years ago, my father, after he retired from the military, he was offered an opportunity to work for some apartment complexes doing pest control, and he went ahead, took the chance. He says, "I'm retired, I have time," and sure enough, he started the business back then, 2010, 2009, and then 2010, the end of 2010. I joined my father on the business,
Okay.
and from there I started off with him. It's been a journey. It's a lot to learn. We know here in South Florida, pests. It's a necessity to treat our homes against pests, and yeah, during the journey I have learned so much under my father. He taught me well as well, and essentially the educating of our customers is being one of our most important way of dealing with the issues, with the pest issues in our homes. When we come in, we teach our customers how to avoid pests, what's the best avenue we can take, what approach we can take, what products will be used, and so forth.
Yeah, and you know, when we first started, when I brought you on, we talked about mosquito, but actually, to your point, your business is much further beyond mosquitoes. As you said,
Yeah.
it's pest control. And again, living in the climate that we live in here in South Florida, we have a lot of pests.
Absolutely.
You know, one of the things that we talked about is white fly out in the yard, but obviously inside the home.
That's correct.
I don't care where you live. Pretty much everybody's probably had a mouse run through their house.
That is true. That is certain.
It doesn't matter.
That is certain.
And because they're outside and sometimes they get in the house. So pests, palmetto bugs, you know.
We have a
flying
lot of those. Yeah, we
the
don't.
flying cockroaches, you know. And obviously the German cockroaches, roaches are the worst, right?
Absolutely. Those are the.
Talk about that a little bit. You know, that's where, you know, you say you go into somebody's house, they turn on the lights, and all of a
You see
sudden.
all of a sudden they go everywhere. Yeah, you see them on the
Right.
couch, you see them on the bed, you see them everywhere.
Wow.
They will get out of control. So I tell folks, always get them early
Right.
on. They are very fast reproductive.
I was going to ask you
Yes.
about that.
Yes, very fast reproductive pests. They will hide anywhere, clothing, shoes, bags, you name it. So,
In people's cars.
especially people's car. Yes.
Because a lot of people eat and they, you know, they drop food in their car, and I don't even want to. I actually was in somebody's car, and yeah.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Yes, how often folks will call me to treat their cars, their vehicles, because they cannot control that. No matter how much they wash it, clean it, vacuum it, roaches will prevail. They will stay in the car for how many years it may come.
Wow.
So we had to hygiene is 70% of pest control.
Right.
The rest is just chemical. But Just
Like I say,
70%.
hygiene,
Yes.
putting the garbage out at night, not letting garbage stay in the house. Again, not eating in your car.
Not in your car, washing your dishes every night,
Right.
wiping the countertops, especially mopping, sweeping weekly. Things like that can suppress the problem, and then but that's when they can call in and have me come in and take care of the rest. So education, as I mentioned before, is of utmost importance when it comes to pest management, and that's where I focus on, whether it's for interior pest control, roaches, bugs, rodents, and as well outdoor control, fire ants, whiteflies. You mentioned mosquito, which they know me by the mosquito guy. So that's it. Education is the utmost importance.
And when you talk about mosquitoes, just pests in general, obviously, like I said, I live on an acre of land, and I have trees everywhere, and I
Yeah.
got plants everywhere. And it's almost something you can't avoid because pests are going to hide within the bushes, et cetera. And having, as you said, having bromeliads, I'm
It's
a
a one.
big fan of bromeliads, and they hold water, even though
Absolutely.
they're beautiful. And they do create that atmosphere for mosquito larvae to grow. What do you say for someone who has those type of plants? What should they be doing?
So I will encourage them to follow Miami-Dade County draining cover. They have a website on their website. They have a solutions approach that residents or homeowners can do. Steps they can follow when they have this type of plants, which is a lot has to do with emptying the plant or watering it. Just pouring, just rinsing the plants with water. It will actually do rinse the larvae out of the plant.
Okay.
Yes.
So actually, that's a good point. Never
Yeah.
thought about it from that point. So
Yes.
you're actually saying water the plant, so that'll
That's right.
wash out what's inside. Good point.
But the size. So mosquito larvae, they do not breed and move in water. So you are by far obstructing their growth and their development. So it's very important. That's one way of approach. We do have products like larviciding, which is eco-friendly. You can more than the same one I use at your house. The same one, that's a good approach to sprinkle those things on it. And Miami-Dade County will actually come to your home, and depending on where you are living, on Dade County they will come to your home, inspect the property for you, and tell you places where you can work at, where things you have to drain and cover. That's why we have the hashtag fight the bite.
Okay.
So my fundamental approach as a business owner, and when it comes to mosquito control, it are the same fundamental approach that Miami-Dade County has, which is again the larviciding, the draining and covering anything that might breed mosquitoes, and also educating the customers, which a lot of education goes into it.
So when you say educating a customer, how do you go through that process?
First and foremost, I go into the property and I just search and find anything in any probable places where mosquito can breed. That is containers or buckets. And one that a lot of folks are overlooking are the gutters. Gutters have been the number one in my field of experience, number one breeder of mosquitoes. Why? Because they are not at eyesight distance.
Right.
They're generally overlooked. So my job is to talk to the customers and ask them, when was the last time you cleaned your gutters? Something you can do it on the weekends. When was the last time you cleaned your backyard? It should be done often, and things of that nature. So that's my education also. I can tell them, what about the grooming of your backyard, the cleaning of all debris, the cleaning of your trees and pruning, and so forth. Because even trunks on the tree will breed mosquitoes if you don't do it. If you don't do the cut right, they'll make a hole, and that hole mosquitoes will breed there. So it's a lot of education. It's just one of many, few of many that steps that and educational tips that I give the homeowners, and yeah.
So and again, when you talk about mosquitoes, again, South Florida, I mean, they're everywhere. I
Yeah.
mean, not just here. But what is the minimal amount of water that a mosquito can breed in?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. They just about a cap full of a bottle of water can breed up to 60 mosquitoes.
Wow.
That's a lot of mosquitoes. So that's why it's important to maintain our backyard clean. After we cut the lawn, we make sure we pick up everything, including the bottle,
The bottle cap.
the bottle cap. You have to pick up and maintain the yard clean.
So to your point, so if somebody that's dropped the bottle cap, it's upside down, water fills in it,
It
you can
fills
have
in
60
and-
mosquitoes coming out of it.
And that will be a trouble. That will be problem. So that's why the cleaning and keeping your backyard clean, just out of any debris, is so important. You never know what's hiding under dead leaves. That's another issue I'm having with customers. Usually they just pile off the leaves, they just blow it to the corner, and under there they have a bucket of paint that they used 2-3 years ago, and it's just full of water breeding mosquitoes. So I have to educate them about the cleaning and the grooming, which has nothing to do with my line of work,
Right.
but I had to educate to help the customers.
Yeah. Again, being in South Florida, obviously during the winter, it gets cooler, so you don't
Right.
have as much the mosquitoes, but then you have the rodents and what have you that are trying to get out of the cold into the house.
That's right.
How do you deal or how do you engage with your customers as far as protecting their homes to keep rodents out?
So there is a process that we follow, pest control industry, and it's called exclusion work, which is finding places where rodents might find their way in. Generally, we deal with the roof rat, is what we call here in South Florida.
Roof rat.
Yes, and those are jumpers. I mean, they can jump 5 feet, no problem,
Doesn't
on the
even
air.
matter.
Don't even matter. So, yeah, so that's why it's such a problem. And then they can, as small as a quarter-size hole, and an adult-grown roof rat can fit right on through.
Wow.
A quarter-size.
And
Hole.
I'm glad you're mentioning that. That's one of the things, because again, I have a lot of plants on my house and palm trees up against the house. So
Yeah.
you really need to make sure you're cutting things away from the house. But back
That's
to your
correct.
point of what you're saying, a roof rat can climb up a tree and
Yeah.
basically jump 5 feet to the
Jump
roof.
from, that's exactly, and they can find any type of hole in the house, and that's why the exclusion work is so important to be done, whether the homeowner does it or the company does it, because that's what access point you're giving them. By simply sealing, going around, seeing what areas might be worked, leaving doors open overnight, it's a problem. Windows. Sometimes you have the vents from the roofs here in South Florida. We have the breather vents. Those are very important that we can close
Keep
them
it-
up.
Right.
Close them up, especially with the metal enclosing.
So those, like you said, the breather vents down
Yeah.
top of your roof, and
Yes.
basically that's to help keep the roof cool.
Ventilated, yes.
Ventilated, keep the ventilation going. But you're saying that the roof rats go inside those?
Yes, they actually will. If it's not it's not sealed properly, they can actually climb right on through.
Wow.
So we have to be careful areas where they can find themselves in. And like you mentioned earlier, they're mainly active inside the homes during the winter times. The reason why rodents are outdoor pests, but when it gets cold, we all want to go inside, and they behave the same way.
Wow. And I know basically rodents, they run along a wall for the most part. They're not going to run out in the open.
Yes.
So along the borders of your house, what suggestions, are there any suggestions for that?
Yes, so we provide what we call rodent bait stations, outdoor rodent bait stations. Where they are, but where we place them is actually on the edges of the property, and allows that for rodents and roof rats in this case to come in, smell the poison, eat it, and then died of it. So those are the management approach we take to for rodents.
Okay. And what about the one-off raccoon or
Oh man, that's we talk. We're going into another
do you
subject.
deal with
but,
that? Do you deal with that at all?
I do have I do have other companies that deal with that with animal and critter controls.
Right.
Reason why they just catch them and then release somewhere else. That's where mainly they do. But yes, I heard there's a lot of issues with that lately. And more than welcome to call me, and I'll refer
Well, I'm
someone else.
calling you now because I have a problem with the raccoon going in my pool and doing this thing in my pool.
Oh man, we gotta take care of that.
We gotta take care of that.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I come out in the morning and
Yeah.
then there's this big pile on the step inside.
On the step.
Not
Oh,
on the
man.
step, inside the pool.
Inside the pool.
Yeah, I
man.
didn't know raccoons did it in the pool, but that's or in what? That's what they've been doing.
Well, that's news to me, but
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's,
We gotta fix that.
we gotta fix that.
So, what would you say is the biggest challenge with living in South Florida when it comes to pests?
The biggest challenge is that we are year-round pest state.
Okay.
Just from give you a little statistics. From West Palm South, we have 1/3 of all United States pests that there is.
Really?
All because of the swamp, all because of the weather condition, and all because of the beaches on the side, swamps and all mangroves and so forth. So that's why. And in fact, the University of Florida started dealing with pests. That's back in the early 1900s. So can't quote me on that, but they started because dealing with pests. Pests has been an issue for a long time, and those are the biggest challenges because of the conditions are perfect for pests.
When it comes to storms, obviously our homes are open. A lot of things happen during storms. Do you
That's correct.
get engaged, or is there anything that you do to mitigate pest control when the storms, or just
Yeah.
trying to understand that whole process?
So yes, when we have storms, we have what we call flow water mosquitoes, which will be your Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus, which are the known carrier of dengue, Zika virus, and also we have the amongst other malaria. But those flow water mosquitoes can be avoided by keeping the yard up tight and clean before the storm. That's why we had to make sure, inspect our property before the storm, so that way nothing is laying around after it that may potentially breed mosquitoes. So that was one approach that we can take in South Florida before the storms.
Floodwater mosquitoes. That's the
Yeah.
new saying. So basically, from the storms, you basically have water sitting.
That's
And
correct.
Are the mosquitoes any different than regular mosquitoes? But you just because of the water sitting.
So Aedes aegypti and albopictus both are known to be always found in cities. The Design District are known to have those, and North Miami are known to have those because they are containers breeders and tires, so such things of that nature. So after the flood, after the rain, heavy rain, that's when they start coming out, breathing and coming out. So that's why the importance of keeping the yard clean.
So different mosquitoes have different times when they come out.
Yes.
Really?
We have.
So mosquito just isn't
Yeah.
a mosquito.
Mosquitoes is all actually mainly throughout the day, but there's only one type of mosquito, Aedes albopictus, that is a day biter. They call him the tiger mosquito. It's called tiger because it's aggressive, and usually those are ankle biters. So those are you will find during the hot heat of the day.
Okay.
But nighttime, dusk and dawn is the active for the rest of the mosquitoes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I learned something new there. That's for sure. Well, if someone wants to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Absolutely. They can call us at 305-987-4919, and also they can reach out to our email is ftopestcontrol@gmail.com.
And this has been very enlightening, Junior. I appreciate you coming on. This has been the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection, and you have been here with FTO Mosquito Control and Pests. And if you want to learn more about the Chamber, you can go to www.m-dcc.org, or you can call the Chamber at 305-751-8255. 8648.